What's up, interwebs? It's me, XoXo, and today I'm here to review the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch. Nintendo's attempt to crawl out from under the financial wreckage of the Wii U. And also their attempt to kill my friends and I with excitement and anticipation. Wait. So you're probably wondering, was over 72 hours of categorically inappropriate and ceaseless hype train messenger chat worth the time and energy we poured into it? For me, as a Nintendo fan, and ultimately a gamer, yes. I'll explain why after I go over the hardware. I'm sure a lot of you know about many of the specs and features that I'm going to be talking about, especially if you've been as obsessed as I've been since the mid-January conference. For those that don't, here's a rundown. The Switch is a hybrid console/portable gaming system, and while it functions perfectly well as a home console, able to play games on your television with 1080p output resolution and multiple controllers like any other home console, what makes it special is that you can play it like this, on a tablet, in your hands, or really anywhere you want to take it. And also, there's a huge emphasis on local multiplayer and or couch co-op. So much so that the controller, or Joy-Con, separates into two independent controllers, meaning that you can play two-player right out of the box. Neat! The tablet/main portion of the console itself has a 6.5-inch multi-touch capacitive screen that has a 720p resolution. While it isn't technically the best resolution you can get on a 6.5-inch screen, it looks great. And as far as I can tell, there's not a lot of motion blur, if any. It also boasts stereo sound output with two front-facing speakers, which sounds surprisingly good. I would say above average compared to most mobile devices and tablets. On the sides, you have rails that lock the Joy-Con controller pieces securely into place so that you can play games with the controller attached directly to the Switch itself. You have a flimsy-ass kickstand that does its job and should be fine, but doesn't inspire confidence. Underneath Flimsy Stand 2017 is a slot for a micro SD card, which is great because you've only got 32 gigs of built-in memory, around 6 of which are used for the operating system. And, lucky for you, the Switch will support micro SD cards with up to 2 terabytes of space. Instead of using discs, the Switch relies on digital media and game cards, similar to the Nintendo DS, which, as I discussed in my Nintendo Switch trailer analysis, is great for functionality, as you don't have to wait on lengthy installs to play your games. Rather, you put the card in and boot it up. Within 10 to 20 seconds, you're ready to play your game. Also, on top of the Switch are volume buttons and the power button. And like your phone or a tablet, when you push the power button, the screen turns off, putting the unit into sleep mode. And, according to Ars Technica, probably pronounced that wrong, sorry guys, the battery will only drain 2% every 8 hours, which is extremely efficient, and allows you to turn on the Switch near instantaneously. In other words, you could leave it in standby for 2 days and lose less than 15% of your total battery life. Woo! Part of what makes the Switch so great is that, as I mentioned, it's a mobile/console hybrid. When you want to sit in front of your nice big TV and put your feet up, you just slide the Switch into the dock, and within seconds, whatever you're in the middle of transfers seamlessly onto your TV. And when you want to take the Switch into another room, you can just take it off the dock, and almost instantly, it's ready to play in handheld mode. I'm not going to go through the entire interface, but I will tell you this. It's very easy to navigate and very intuitive. When I wanted to test the Joy-Con as 2 separate controllers, I simply went to the home screen to see if there would be any obvious way to do that, and sure enough, there's a controller icon on the home screen. When you select it, it shows you how to switch between using the Joy-Con together or separately, and voila! You can switch it on the fly and get right back into your game. Thus far, I haven't had any issues with controllers desyncing, any crashes, or any transition problems from tablet mode to TV mode. What I can say is this. I'm very impressed with how easy this console is to get up and running, and how simple and intuitive it is to use. I spent the first 10 minutes taking the Joy-Con off and trying out different configurations to see what worked best for me. Though they are small, and I don't have tiny POTUS hands, I still found them to be comfortable to use, and had no issues playing Bomberman with half of the Joy-Con as my controller. Also, the D-pad isn't a D-pad, but rather 4 individual buttons. I was worried that this wouldn't feel quite right, but was pleasantly surprised to see how fast I got into my games and started using the buttons as my default movement method, without skipping a beat. It feels good. The analog sticks are pretty small, but again, I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't feel compromised while playing. My biggest complaints are that the kickstand feels pretty cheap, and there isn't a whole lot of interface customization as far as I can tell. While it would be nice to have more apps like a web browser or Netflix, and an achievement system would be cool. I honestly don't care. I bought this thing to play console quality games anywhere and anytime, and playing games that way, it does very well. Overall, I'm extremely happy with the build quality, other than that janky-ass kickstand, and pleased with how seamlessly you can switch from app to app, and how fast the cartridges load when compared to disc-based fare. Is this console for everyone? Probably not. But if you're like me, and you're wanting to take advantage of playing console games anywhere, hours and hours of couch co-op, and having an affection for quality Nintendo gear when Nintendo does it right, I think you'd have a hard time not finding something to love about the Nintendo Switch. I do want to throw a little disclaimer in here. When you get the Switch, know that you're not going to get Xbox One or PS4 fidelity graphics. It's just not a super powerful console. But again, to me, that's not the point. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks to my friend Justin for starting the Hype Train chat, and more importantly, for this unforgettable quote. If you're into podcasts, go check out his and our other buddy Saturn's weekly retro gaming podcast, Retro Warriors. I'll provide some links to their podcast network and their Patreon page in the description below. You guys are amazing as always. I'll see you next time. Later!